All right, so we're gonna make the drawer. So I have all my pieces cut out. I got 2 long pieces, I got 2 short pieces, and I have my 1/4" plywood bottom. All right, so the bottom I don't need right now. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up the table saw. I have 2 blades on here already, so that's a 1/4" wide. I'm gonna measure my height. It's a 1/4" high, that's what I want it. And I'm gonna measure it so that's a 1/4". The fence is a 1/4" away from the blade. So these are all 1/4" measurements right now. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run all 4 pieces. I'm gonna run a dado in the bottom so that the bottom has something to fit into. Next, I'm gonna take my miter gauge. I'm gonna leave the saw set up exactly how it is. I'm gonna take my 2 shorter pieces. Yeah, you go. I'm gonna take my 2 shorter pieces and I'm face that groove down. So it should look like this right now. Get my 2 shorter pieces. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my 2 longer pieces and I'm gonna run a rabbet on the back side. Okay, but I need to move my fence right up against the blade. So the blade height and the thickness still stay the same, but I'm gonna cut a rabbet in the corner of each of these. So I just moved my fence right up against the blade. I don't want my blade to rub on the wood, but it's right up against it. Weird running this. Okay, so I got my dado on one side and I have my rabbets on the other. The reason is so this can all fit together. So I put my short pieces on my short side. And again, these pieces, you see how they lock in together. They should be nice and snug, which these are. Okay. And then my bottom will fit in that dado up there in the bottom. And I have my drawer assembled. I can see that it's just not fitting in this corner a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this out very carefully. I'm just gonna give it a little sand with some 80 grit. I'm really close on it. So I just want to make sure. You don't want to push these in. You should kind of have to squeeze them, but not force them in. If I force this in, my grain is really weak on this corner. I might break this whole edge right here out if I try to force it in. So I just want to Use a little bit of force, but I don't want to smash it in. Okay, so it's all dry fit. I know my corners all look good. I'm just gonna take it apart and I'm just gonna lightly glue it. You do not want a ton of glue on this. I'm gonna keep them all in the same spot too, because I know they fit. If I flip this piece with this and the corner is a little bit, you know, it might not fit. I'm gonna take my glue bottle. Again, wherever wood is touching wood, I'm gonna hit just a little bit of glue in there. Okay? I don't want my glue squeezing out of my wood joints. Just a little bit of glue in this seam here. Wherever wood is touching wood, I want a little bit of glue. So I have a couple different glue bottles in here. This one has a nice point to it. It helps me get inside these grooves. Some of them are cut a little lower, so glue can pour out of them faster, so you might want to try to, it would still work, but you might want to try to find one, the thinner point when you're assembling this drawer. And we're just going to clamp this drawer up. We could nail it, but I don't know, I'm kind of old fashioned. I like to, if I don't need to nail it, I don't like to nail it. Going to put on, so these long sides are actually the front and bottoms, or front and back, sorry, of my drawer. So I'm going to put on the front and back first. Push that in, push this into place. This one's a little tight, but that's all right. Piece fell out. All right. So now I have my drawer assembled. I just need to put clamps on because of the joints that we did. I don't need to clamp it this way because the joints that we did are going to kind of hold it in place. So I'm just going to clamp it this way, just light amount of pressure. I don't need a ton of pressure on this. And I'm going to try to keep the pressure on the bottom. Okay, and we'll leave that in the clamps for about an hour. Again, not too tight. You know, you can see my clamps move a little bit when I pick them up. They don't fall off, but you know, they're not super tight. You just don't want to crush any of the joints. And then what we'll do afterwards is we'll kind of sand it up if we need to sand it or clean it anywhere. We'll hit it with the sander later. All right, I have my drawer face here, and I'm gonna put a little router on it. So I want, I'm gonna do something kind of, I don't know if it's fun, but a little bit fun. I'm gonna put a little fancy bit on there, this Roman OG bit, and you just slide it in, okay? This button here, if you've never changed a bit on a router, this button stops the shaft from spinning. So if I just tighten it, you can see the whole thing spins. I don't want the whole thing to spin. I need to stop the shaft from moving so that I can tighten this nut. So I press that button in, and I grab one of these wrenches, which is over by the other router wrenches. Tighten it up. I'm gonna slide the guard on there, okay, right to where I want it, which is right there. And then I could lock it down. Okay, you could also kind of loosen this. The nice part about this is you can adjust it. You see it just goes up or down. Okay, to take this off, like I just had it off, you just squeeze these two pins and the whole thing slides off. So you can get really exact with it, but for this, it's just kind of where I'm gonna like it. I'm just gonna do a little cove on it, nothing too fancy. Okay, lock it down. This is our new battery operated ones. Okay. It has a speed on here from 1 to 7, 7 being the fastest. I'm gonna set it up for 5. Power button is on the side here, this little rubber switch. I'm gonna go counterclockwise. So it just needs a little bit of cleanup. I'll get some like 120 and clean up these. I got a little bit of 80 here, actually. Just clean up that feathering. And we'll attach this. Show you how we attach this. Okay, so we still have to drill a hole through the center with a 3/16 bit. All right, so I'm gonna measure the center. This is my drawer front. This is the piece I just routed. You could measure this, you know, and I could find half, and I could find half. The easier way, which works for everything, is if I just go corner to corner. Because this is, just make a light line, and I don't have to draw a line all the way across because I know my center's not way down here. Line that up with my other corner. Okay, so I know my center is right there. And then that 3/16 hole will allow us to put our screw through. This hardware I'll give you. Okay, it comes with the knob. Okay, and this is universal, so any kind of knob is going to be a 3/16 screw, these same types of screws. Okay. They might have different, you know, obviously all knobs have different shapes, sizes, colors, but this will work for any kind of knob. All right, we're about to put our drawer in. Now, before we do that, before we put our hardware in, we're going to need to put these fillers pieces in on the left and right side. Okay, what these do is they give your bracket a place to sit, and these could just be made out of scrap wood. I have a ton of scrap wood laying around the shop. I don't really care. I would preferably make it out of pine, you know, the same as your cabinet, but you don't have to, I guess. All you're gonna do, just a quick little bead of glue. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't even have to spread it out. Just enough to hold it in there. Okay, and that's all you need. If you're in a hurry, you can grab the nail gun and just quickly pop 2 nails in there. 1.25 inch nails. If you go too long, you're gonna shoot nails out of the side. Okay, so I got my filler pieces in. My drawer is dry. I don't have my faceplate on yet. Okay, because what I want to check is I want to check the fit of my drawer in case I have to make any kind of adjustments. If the hinges or my drawer is too big, I want to be able to make those adjustments. So you'll get these drawer slides from me, and you'll look on them really close. I don't know if you can see it, but it says CL, so that's cabinet left. And this is gonna mount to the very face. This one's CR, so that's cabinet right. Okay. And then this one is gonna be DL, my drawer left. And this one is DR, drawer right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of test fit this all, and I'm going to just put in a screw just to hold this in for right now. When you put these screws in, you don't have to put in screws in every single hole. You only need a screw in, like, I don't know, I'd say one screw in front, one screw in back. Okay, you don't have to put a screw in every single hole. All right, so that's mounted flush with the front. I'm just gonna hold this on here for right now and just see how well it fits. Try to go as far back as you can, make sure it fits all the way in. And mine looks really good. Perfect. Okay. If it was a little big, what I could do is I can sand this down. If it was really bad, you can take it to the belt sander and just kind of, you know, sand down this whole edge on the belt sander. Hopefully it's not that bad. Hopefully maybe just a little bit of 80 grit with the palm sander, sanding this down to make it fit. Okay. But now that I know that that fits, I'm gonna pop it back out, or actually, let's do this. So now that I know that that fits, I'm gonna put another screw in my drawer, and this is gonna sit flush with the front of my drawer, because we wanna figure out where that face plate sits. So I'm gonna put one screw in here. Put the screw, put the screw on the bottom here. So I'm gonna put, you really, again, with these, you only need like one screw in the front, one screw in the back. And I'm going to put my drawer in. Okay. And now what I want to do, because I know that this, I want this, my faceplate centered, I want to find the center of the opening. Okay. So not the center of the drawer. If I did the center of the drawer, my center point's going to be too low, and my drawer plate would sit here with a gap. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to find the center of the opening. Because there's a bigger gap here, you know, then it makes a difference. So what I'm going to do is grab my pencil and ruler, and I'm going to go from corner to corner of the cabinet. Mark a line, go from corner to corner of the drawer opening. Mark a line. Okay, so I know this is where I want my next hole. Now this hole I want to be 3/8 of an inch. Okay, because I need the screw head to come all the way through it. Okay. And I'm just gonna put a little piece of scrap wood behind here so that I don't get a bunch of tear out when I drill through. So I could just do like a partial hole. That way I don't see a hole on the inside of my drawer. But then I wouldn't be able to really ever change out this knob. If I want to change out this knob in the future, it's a good idea to go all the way through. So now I'll know where to put my knob. I'm gonna take this out. And now I can glue this in place, making sure that this is perfectly perpendicular. Okay. So let's do that. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on my drawer face. Fit this in here. I'm gonna kind of eyeball it at first. Get some clamps on it, not too tight. And just mildly. Grab my ruler. See, I'm at like an inch and an inch and a quarter. And over here, I'm at like an inch. So I know I need to kind of pivot it this way. I'm at like an inch and an eighth. Inch and an eighth. All right, so now I know I'm right where I want to be. Then I'll just shoot a couple nails. Okay. You don't want to shoot it down towards yourself. Always, shoot this nail gun down. Hopefully, if we did this right, looks good. Should fit nice and even there. That looks good. Yep, that looks nice. Okay, so that is the drawer assembly. Then next what we'll do is we'll take the hardware off, we'll stain it, I'll put in 2 screws, and I'll finish putting in my other screws as well, okay, after I stain it.